Well, the north rim of the Grand Canyon is back open. However, visitors will notice some big changes. It reopened this past Friday after a fire last year destroyed the historic lodge and several guest cabins. So for now, a trip to the north rim will take a little bit more planning with fewer services and a more remote experience than visitors may be used to. This afternoon, Robert Steve, editor-in-chief of Arizona Highways Magazine, joins us now. You had a chance to kind of, take a look at how things are looking now. How do they look?
Well, as you mentioned, it's very different there. When you get up to the actual, you can get into the park now as of last Friday, as you mentioned, and you can go as far as where the lodge was. It's all fenced off, but you can go up there and actually see where it was. You can see some of the foundation. A lot of the cabins are burned out. The flip side is there are some cabins that survived. Still a lot of trees that survived, but for your viewers that are thinking about going up there, getting into the park, there's no water. There is a gas station that has services available, but it's dry good only, so you're not going to get a fresh gallon of milk. So you really do have to think a lot before you head that way.
Yeah, it's really limited. If people want to still go and stay there, I mean, obviously they can't stay there, but there are neighboring lodges available, right?
Yeah, so when you're going up to the north rim, you get up onto something called the Kaibab Plateau, and the first place you come to is called Jacob Lake. There's a lodge there famous for their cookies. People love to stop there. They have lodging, and then when you go toward where the Grand Canyon Lodge was, there's another place called the Kaibab Lodge, and it's been open for business all last year after the fire, and it stayed intact. So that's another good spot to stay.
Okay, and full service for both those lodges, right? Not limited.
Absolutely. They've got food and beverages and everything you could use. It's also possible that there might be some primitive camping in the forest. There are certain places that are closed, so you would have to check with the Kaibab National Forest to see what those options might be. But overall, it's mostly a day use experience going into into the park area.
Sure. What about hiking from rim to rim? How's that going to look?
Well, that's a great question, and it's a miracle. Somehow that trail, all those men and women who work tirelessly to get that trail opened up again, because that's such a box that people like to check is hiking rim to rim.
It's a destination experience.
So you can hike from the south rim up to the north rim. Again, when you get there, there's nowhere to stay. So you're going to have plans. Maybe somebody can meet you with a car and take you to one of those other places we talked about. Might be able to do some primitive camping. Some hikers are going to touch the top and turn right around and go back in and stay down in the canyon perhaps. So, but water is the key issue. I mean, it's not just, it's an issue under normal circumstances. So anybody that is thinking about hiking really has to think about where their water is going to come from.
So remind us, about that historic lodge that burned down. I mean, what are the plans moving forward now?
It was arguably one of the most beautiful national park lodges in the system. So there's been no official word about what their plans are. I can't imagine them not, absolutely jumping on and rebuilding that place, probably with the same footprint, because unlike El Tovar on the south rim, which is set back from the rim, designed that way purposely to force people to sort of get up and walk out. The Grand Canyon Lodge literally was on that edge. So you could sit there on that deck and look into the canyon. So my guess is they will use that same footprint, but still no word on when that might happen.
And that could take years.
Yes, for sure. Well, and also the logistics. It's a very remote area, so it's not, you can't just run down to the hardware store and get the supplies you need. So it's a big logistical challenge, I would think, building something like that.
All right, Robert, thank you so much for the insight and the update. We appreciate your time. We'll be right back.